Hello and welcome back to our Planet Coaster Harder Challenge Mode series. And in this episode here, we are going to work a lot on our car ride and getting this to a state where we can open it. Now, we don't fully open it, but before we get into that, if you haven't paid attention, we do, or haven't seen the series before, we do have a set of rules that we pay attention to while we're playing on the challenge mode, and we do that to make it a little bit more challenging for us, because we are in a state where we could just make a bunch of money if we wanted to. But anyway, you can see here we are trying to figure out what the layout for this car ride is going to be. I was really just struggling with how this was all going to play out. I was really struggling on how I wanted to get the path that was going to be the exit back over to the main pathway. So you can see we are doing a little bit of terrain work here, I didn't want it to be too tall in this area, enough to get over the top, and then obviously I wanted it to be a pretty smooth walkway down, but because it is a terrain path, so like a little hill or something, rather than going straight down here, I said, you know what, we can do like a little S-bend turn, and kind of build that up. And I think it really turns out nice in the end. This took a lot of time to try and iron out how this was all going to work, how thick I wanted this hill to be, what kind of tunnel we were going to use, and then of course we do a lot of work on bridges as well in this episode. So you can see we are making some expanding the pathway out here. This is going to be one of the main paths, and I think this turns out to be pretty nice. I'm really excited for what's going to be coming in the future episodes here, because it's really going to start to round the park out a little bit more. It's going to give us some more much needed attractions. So so here I'm trying to do some more tunnel work here. We do not keep this. This ends up getting flattened back out, and that main path does not go through a tunnel. And actually, none of the paths in this episode actually go through a tunnel. So we do have a tunnel that the car ride goes through, but that is it. So, and by the way, this is a large episode. I was really going to try and complete the entire car ride, but it just wasn't. It was way too time consuming. Even this time lapse that you're watching now is too long. I already had the footage from it, so and I do like to get the management features in here in every episode. So I said, you know what, let's not do something weird and have like a weird cut. Let's just go ahead. We'll do the work here for a huge episode, and we'll figure it out after that. So here we are trying to lay the path work to figure out how we were going to make this queue work. I did not want it to be a large queue, just because these attractions take a lot of people. Like, they draw in a lot of people. So in the game, so I didn't want everyone just standing in queue for this one attraction. That would be detrimental to us trying to make money as a challenge portion of the game, and it's somewhat unreal. Well, it's not necessarily unrealistic. People do love these car rides, but it just wasn't going to work for us. So once we kind of get that laid out how we want to, we go into maybe the one of the more complex builds here, and it's just getting the bridge set up here, one of the main pathways with this bridge here. So you can see we're doing a bunch of different things with this brick. trying to figure out how we are going to get this to work. I'm trying a bunch of different little accent pieces, and I really wanted to do some type of archway. So you can see we're attempting some type of wooden archway here, and don't go with this because I knew I was going to do a wooden covered bridge on the other side, which we do at the end of the build. So you know, we eventually scrap that portion. We turn it into just a full brick archway, and it's going to be a double arch, which gives us the opportunity to say, okay, well, one side of the arch is going to be for the car ride, the other side is going to be for the little creek that goes next to it. And you know, I think it turns out really nice. I'm really pleased with the way it does turn out, and you know, I think you guys are going to like it as well. So we do spend a lot of time on this this wooden archway, and we're going to scrap the whole thing here soon and just get rid of that. So we do need to keep those concrete footers as the structure of the bridge on that side, and you know, the one nice thing about the way this is all built is once you build half of it, you can copy it, rotate it, and put it on the other side. So let me take a quick sip of my beverage, because like I said, this is an extremely long time lapse, and we're going to need a lot of beverage to get through this one. So, and speaking of how long this is, I actually didn't have enough of copyright-free music for the time lapse, so I had to mix in some of the Penny Coaster music. Which I usually do one at the beginning and one at the end, so I'm just kind of where I'm at in time lapse. So I had to throw a couple in the middle here. So you'll hear those. I used one of the longer ones, I can't remember what it's called, but with that, so I'm here in the middle of this time lapse. But now we're going to get some of the books from the wall there to try and keep it consistent, and then now the bridge will serve as the break point in that, because it also transitions into a different type of brick, which I think kind of meshes it well. It kind of hides the transition pretty well, and makes it look pretty nice. So here we go, getting rid of the wooden structure, which is nice to get that out of there. And we do change the brick to be more consistent with the quay wall that leads into the water. And then now this is going to be more of the style of bridge that we finish with. So you can see we are using the brick pieces here. We do cycle them off a little bit, so we don't have any clipping issues. And then once we duplicate them and rotate them around, actually we did this in a pretty odd way. I don't know why I did it this way. You know, I could have cycled it the other way, and then whatever. I could have I could have done that first, but you know, it works. It did the job. So we get the arch in there, and then we have to find a solution to get the key piece there as something that's going to fit for the bridge, which we found some nice centerpiece. I can't remember what those pieces are called either at the moment, but they tend to work out pretty nice, and you know, we duplicate those to kind of cover up any imperfections there. We do also use some additional pieces to cover up some gaps that were left from the archway, but overall, like I said, this turns out to be a pretty nice little bridge. It all seems to fit and work pretty well. Obviously, we're using a bunch of different buildings at this point. We were struggling to find gap coverage for certain areas without clipping through the bottom. So that's why you'll see another piece that comes in here a little bit later. But I didn't want to have any clipping or any Z fighting. And try and minimize all of that as best as I could, and I think I minimized it completely. So you can see there were some pieces sticking out there, so we eventually correct that. Now you can see we have the arch piece here, or the decoration piece that's gonna kind of cover up some of our gaps. And you know, these took quite a bit because you had to manually place them, you had to move them to avoid the Z fighting, and you know, it just took time. So we get that, and then we have one other piece that's going to come in. That's going to cover up that last little open area, and you'll see that here shortly. We're looking for it. There we go. And you know, we just we sink that in. Unfortunately, there was no clipping coming through the underside of the arch, which I do check at some point, which is perfect. Also, it doesn't clip through the pathway, because that would have been horrible. Oh no, we actually, there we go. Now we got the piece. And you know, I think it seems realistic enough. I don't know if you would necessarily see something like this, but you know, once you back away and you're not focused on it, it looks just fine. So I do like the way it all turns out, and you know, I just wish it wouldn't have taken as long as it did. So yeah, I typically speed up the time lapse 10 times. So if we got a 40-minute video, that's gonna drop it to 4 minutes. So yeah, we're looking at quite a bit of time. So I want to say we're around 60 hours for this entire time-lapse video, and then plus the half hour of the management portion that's going to be tacked on at the end. So maybe even more than that, maybe 70. I don't know, too much. Too much for what it is. That's why it took so long to get this video out. Wasn't planned to come this late, especially when I was really doing a lot of work on it here. Once the previous video came out, I had a lot of motivation. So but anyway, getting in some pillars here at the end, or just to kind of round out the pathway, hide some more imperfections that were there. Get some beams just to kind of give us a different material in there. So we go ahead and we take a look at all of those, and yeah, this turns out to be really a really nice bridge for us. And I do remove the path covers for the bridge as well at some point. It didn't seem right. I was going to have to do something different for the slant anyway, because they were grid pieces. And you know, I figured, you know, I can just change the path type, and I thought it looked fine. So we keep that for now. What we're working on now, though, is the center pillar, which was a little bit further out than what I would have liked it to have been, but you know, I think we make a pretty good compromise with the way we integrate everything. We obviously just extend the concrete out a little bit to make that go right up to the brick center, but generally speaking, you know, it turns out to be quite nice. We get a couple lights in there because of course we're going to need some type of lighting there. We do focus on getting the centerpiece between the two track rides in there, so we don't have to worry about that when we can't see exactly where the track is other than the metal beams. So we go ahead and we get that in. We duplicate everything around, and you can see it looks a little bit too bright there. We do remove the top portions and a couple extra lights, I'm not speaking very well today, but the covers, the path covers. So we get those out of there. I think we are going to add in some pots and a bush or flower, just to kind of round out everything. And I think that just kind of adds a nice little touch to it. I think we do change colors on 2 of them. Yep. So we got a little bit difference. I remembered I need to fix a piece from the last build, so we went ahead back there and took care of that quick. Jumped right back over, and now it's time to switch out the bricks on the quay wall to the new brick that we're going to be using, which is going to be just a continuation of the bridge. So this doesn't take all that long, but we did have to duplicate pieces and move them over and remove things. So that, of course, is going to take a little bit of time, but we get that in there. We knew we were going to need another wall, so we duplicate some of those pieces and just kind of start bringing those over on the other side, which will kind of round out that whole area, and then we just got to worry about the path covers. Now, initially here I was going to use the firehouse roof as the path cover, but I didn't think it worked right. So, or I didn't think it would be consistent or in the right. It wouldn't be the right style for a little bit lower there. Obviously, we have a brick, a large brick area on the other side, so that is something that we would want to consider as well. But we end up just expanding the concrete out on the other side of the bridge, and I think that's just fine. We add in a couple bushes here and there just to kind of break up the wall a little bit. And now I wanted to focus on the queue and the top portion of that second retaining wall above the lower area. So we go ahead. I wanted to have a little feature in the queue line, which is just going to be an old-fashioned car. So we go ahead, we throw that in there. Now this, we are going to use the firehouse roof, flat roof pieces, and I think it just looks better for this area. So and then obviously you're seeing we're putting a bunch of hedges in here. This does not stay. This is actually part of the thumbnail now, so you know what that's going to change into. But we do want to use a lot of the hedges because I think it makes it look clean, which you would see in an area where they have a lot of pristine, older type cars. So we put in a bunch of these for now just to kind of outline what kind of room we're going to have to be playing with in this area. I didn't want bushes on the inside, so you have bushes on both sides of you. So at least not around the car, so we add in a special fence there, and then we use a different type of fence to symbolize a gate for that car, so they can get cars in and out of there if they wanted to switch them out for whatever reason. And then from there, I knew that I wanted to have some type of repair shop for the cars that were actually being used in the attraction. Now, I want this to just be a very simple building. I didn't want this to be anything outrageous, but I wanted it to continue, have a little bit of accent from the bricks in the retaining wall, but I wanted it to be primarily a white painted wooden building with just some again some other wood accents and whatnot. So you can see we start adding in a bunch of the huge haunted beams to kind of cover up some of the edges and stuff that we couldn't Planet Coaster doesn't account for. We add in some of the other regular wooden beams on a diagonal just to kind of give that a different feel. And then trying to figure out what I was going to do with the roof here, that was a challenge. Roofs in Planet Coaster are just something that I struggle with. And I'm not sure why. It's just, I don't like to build custom roofs. It's just too piece heavy. But the in-game roofs just don't tend to do it for you. Or do it for me. And, you know, I didn't really want this to be a flat roof, but it ended up, because it was just a maintenance building, then it just worked out better to be a flat roof. So, we get the roof in here. We have the opening there. We're going to place a door on the side. So if you don't want to go through the garage door there, you have another entrance. And then I did want to just have like a little detailed, like a little awning there with a little flower planter on the outside as well, which comes out pretty nice once we get some of that added in here. So. And you can see we're still messing around with the pitched roofs. It just doesn't look right to me for whatever reason. And you know, I thought about doing a custom roof, but you know, it's just too piece heavy. You know, we got a pretty big park already. We got you know, at this point almost 3,000 guests in the park. So I didn't want to do something like that. So, but the bridges I'll definitely do it for. So, you know, I don't know if that's consistent or not, but you know, it is what it is. But the backside had to have another garage door because we needed a way to so you could drive the vehicle in and then drive the vehicle out back onto the track. So. We just duplicate everything around. I think that looks pretty nice. We added a bunch of windows just to kind of break up the boring walls, and of course we're going to add in a couple trees here and there. And you know, I think for what this building is supposed to be, I think it's just fine. It doesn't need to be anything spectacular. And you can see now we're adding in our little planter on the outside. And getting in a couple bushes just to add some color to the area as well. So now the last thing here is we wanted to have a little gate, so you could go ahead and get to the lower edge or lower portion of the ride there. So and of course these trees get modified a little bit here a little bit later in the video, but we leave them there for now. We add some hedges on the sides to add a little bit more dimension to this very, very simple building, and of course some air conditioning, because you would want some air conditioning. And then we just add a little sign here, Matford Auto Repair. Nothing that you wouldn't, that is just something that you would expect to see here. Nothing too crazy. So some of these fonts are pretty interesting because, you know, you put them up one way, it has one color. You flip it around, it has a different color, even though it's the same color in game. So the texture is a little bit different, but nonetheless, we got all that set up. Got that looking nice, and then I think we're going to start working on the pathway here. So now you can see we're using the firehouse roof here for the ride, the track covers, which turns out to make it very simple. We're just duplicating and rotating as we go around. Unfortunately, these don't have much Z fighting, so we didn't have to worry about that. I think there were a couple that I didn't like, so I did adjust those, but generally speaking, these just work well together all the way around. So you can see we're just going ahead and we're mapping out the track here, making sure we got everything sorted out here. Now, I'm not worried about centering it too much because I know that I can close up some of that with some scenery. So we focus on that. Now, we do fill in this whole area. So this would be like a little parking area for some of the cars that are not in use. Now obviously in Planet Coaster you don't have to worry about that, so we're just going to throw in some fancy older style cars as like some scenery. But in real life you'd probably just have like have some cars that were parked over here that were part of the ride, just not in use. So like backup cars if one ended up dying or had an issue, so that they could do that. So now you can see we are adding in the little steps here. So that would be the steps to get down to the lower portion. And that is just using the firehouse roof piece. I think made sense to have them like that rather than the concrete, because the concrete is actually going to be, we're going to rotate those as we go up to make sure that that can be the right level. So this I was a little concerned about, but it really it wasn't that hard for us. So once we get up to the top there, we start duplicating those pieces over, making sure that there's no gaps, because it is on a little bit of a turn there. And that it didn't take nearly as long as I thought it was going to. Obviously there's going to be some snags here and there, but again, not too bad. We add a little concrete piece just to signify that there is a difference there. You're going to a different style of concrete. And then we add our middle beam here, which that's more or less to hide the gap between the pieces there. So we get that over here and we just kind of leave that where it is. We readjust some of the pillars, and then obviously we wanted to make sure that we go ahead and just get everything kind of filled out here. We knew we were going to need to do some type of angled piece, so it ended up working out perfectly. I was really pleased with the way that we could just throw in just angle those around, and then got that going. We add a couple vents to the front there because I decided it might be a good idea, and then we focus on our lighting, which we want it to be like a soft yellow. I don't like that the floodlights are so, like, they show so bright yellow, so that might be something that we would look into in the future to try and fix. But this last little piece, we add in a little flower planter area, and I think it works out. It's just we just had a gap in area. I didn't want to put a tall tree in there, so we needed some type of flowers or something, and I think we end up stealing from the center here. We just go ahead and flip that around and throw a couple. Maybe we don't. I was going to try and make my own design at one point. You can see I did not like that, so we get rid of that here quickly. And then you can see we just cover the edge here. We just kind of do our own thing, which suffices. You're not really going to look at that flower planter very often, so not too concerned about that. And we're soon going to start to get in. I think we start doing the tunnel here soon once we kind of finish off this area. We might do some rock work there, heading up on the pathway. But yeah, we were really trying to figure out how we were going to do this. We knew this was a bit of a tight turn, so we ended up able to just duplicate or just merge in some of the planter walls, which ended up working out pretty nicely for us. We come back, we make some minor changes back to this area. just to kind of get those trees to be a little bit more realistic, because we knew we were going to put in a more concrete in that area. So we get that. Now this rock wall here, we can't adjust that terrain anymore. It will not allow us to do that. So we had to get creative with some of our rocks, which I think it looks pretty fun, pretty good. Pretty happy with the way this little rock wall turns out. We use a lot of rocks in this general area and up over the top of the tunnel. And, you know, I think that's feasible. I mean, I think you would see some of that in real life. I know there's some different parks that I've walked through, or nature walks, where you can just have a large gathering of rocks that you walk around. So we obviously added some shrubbery and whatnot, and then I wanted to make sure that we had like a little viewing area here. We obviously put in some fencing here, and then I wanted to do some type of custom fencing that was going to follow the pathway here. So this ends up taking a lot longer than it should have. I think it actually, I ended up getting it down and understanding how I needed to do it after this first section here. But you know, this first section was definitely the guinea pig for it. You can see we're taking so much time to try and be like, okay, well, we're gonna get these to be as good as they can look, and then we'll come back and update them. Well, that wasn't necessarily the best way to do it. So we go ahead, we get them all recolored, and you know, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go all the way down to the bottom, or if I wanted to just find another route for fencing. But you can see we do end up going all the way down there. We come back, and I think we end up changing that again really late, because once we get this first little area in here, we go across now, and I think we start working on a above the tunnel for the pathway. And that's how long ago it's been since I did this. I don't remember the order in which I built this. Yeah, so we're definitely going to start working here above the tunnel. I wanted to have, you know, it's like a half bridge type thing. It's not necessarily over the top, but it is, or like overhanging, but it is. So we go ahead, we make like a little viewing platform here. I didn't plan for this to be a viewing platform, so you don't really look at anything, so we just won't focus on that. But I'm really happy with the way the wooden beams turned out there, and I think this whole thing kind of really rounds the whole area together, especially once we get the actual tunnel in underneath. It really seems like it's supposed to be there. So unfortunately, because it's a flat area, we could use the actual in-game fences, and now you can see we're going to connect this area, and this is where I really start to understand, okay, well, this is what I need to do. I need to do this bottom beam first, which is what I did in the last one, but we changed it a little bit after. We get this bottom beam set up. We are focused on making sure that we minimize as much of that path being shown on the outside as possible. We get the big beam in here, and then we immediately duplicate them directly up, and then we can just go back and place in the smaller beams. Now we also use these for the actual, not the posts, but the connection pieces. I don't know what you would call those. We use the smallest beam possible, so, and then we use that to gauge how the distance between the actual fence posts. So now, since we're up against the ground here, we can use our rocks as the wall on the other side, so you can see that's why we're getting all those. And then I said, you know what, it probably would have a little bit of an area up here where you could probably put some shrubbery and trees, so we throw that in there. And then we got to finish out the other side with the custom fencing, which of course again is annoying to do, say the least. We get some benches up there because Planet Coaster guests get tired when they start to walk up a hill, so we got that, and they're going to have to walk up that hill to get out. So you can see we're going and doing the last portion over here. That's going to head down towards the main path, and this just it turns out a whole lot nicer than I thought it was going to. I've tried a bunch of different fences like this, and this might be one of my favorite ones. It's definitely a little more time consuming because I was being very particular about making sure that we didn't have any of the pathway sticking through. So there's that, but you can see again, once we get it going, it then just becomes the process of just putting in these fence posts, and it's a nice looking fence for what it is. So we get these last little pieces in here, and then I think I feel like we do complete the other side of it. Yeah, so there we go. We're just finishing up this last couple areas here with the fence posts and whatnot, and this is nearly done on for the fence. Of course, we have to do more of the fence over by the actual exit of the car ride, so this isn't the end of it, but this is a big portion of it that we're getting done here. So, or I'd say the bulk of it probably. So here we go, just finishing up, and while we're finishing that, I'll take a sip of my beverage. Yep, get these last little fence posts. Wow, words. The last fence posts in, and now it's time to figure out, well, how is this? What kind of wall are we going to have up against the main pathway here? And I figured it was time to continue with the planters. I know we use these a lot, but they save a lot in the piece count for us. And they look pretty decent for the most part. I wish they had some smaller pieces, but they don't. So that's one of my gripes with it. But generally speaking, it is okay. And you can see we finally removed the ground there, so that kind of will look a little bit better. Obviously, putting in some dirt and whatnot. So removing some pieces that I didn't see were down there yet. Now, of course, we did have that little bit of terrain that was sticking up, which is attached to the path, so we can't touch it, which is annoying, but now you can see we are getting into the tunnel, and this was maybe the quickest part of this build that I could have expected. So you can see we're making a circle. I did struggle with not selecting too many pieces when I was deleting these. So you can see I'm really struggling there. But once we get the pieces down, we used the eight length concrete structures and just rotated them around. We added in wooden beams that the haunted wood beams that we could use as like a little support thing. And then once we rotated on its side, we threw it down there, and it ends up being perfect. It fits absolutely perfect. Now you can see, obviously, there are a lot of wooden beams there, which once we sink those in, you start to see exactly what the idea of this is. Obviously, the jagged pieces on top are not going to be visible, so it's really just a little extra detail for inside the tunnel. And we duplicate those around, put those in, and it starts to look good. Now it still looks pretty bland on the outside. Obviously we want to put some type of entrance on both sides, so it ends up just working with some concrete pieces that you would have that are just regular concrete walls. So we get these going. We use some of the arch pieces, and then we kind of just flatten it out here and add in a little bit of decoration. And I really just think it turned out really nice. I'm not sure why I'm so proud of this, but I am. So you can see it looks good there. We do duplicate some of those pieces back behind, so it just kind of meshes into the ground, and then we of course duplicate it, swing it around, and do the same thing on the other side. So again, to me it just seemed to work out perfectly. It looks really good. I'm really happy with it. And yeah, once we start adding in some of the rocks and things like that, we start really sculpting the terrain around it. I think it looks much better. So yeah, so the rocks really make it look much different. So terrain is so hard to work with in this game when you're trying to get some sharper edges, so those rocks make a big difference there. And you can see we're now trying to figure out how are we gonna get the thick brush in up here. So we just kind of start going. We take some taller trees. We didn't want people looking that direction from up there, so we really add in some of those taller trees and thick brush, so you can't take a look that way. So you can see we did have something that was sticking through there. We fixed that quick, and then coming back over, we sort out some of the lights that I forgot to put on the fences here, and yeah, that's nothing too outrageous here, other than just trying to make sure that we got everything a little bit better lit up. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to finish mapping out the track with our track covers. And we're going to focus on this area here to be able to make sure that, you know, we have something that's interesting in this area, because there's not going to be anything really connected to the path. And, you know, we're going to need something for people to look at. So we go ahead and, you know, we duplicate our path cover, or track covers there in this scenario. We add our bushes around, because this is going to be what breaks up or preventing people from getting onto the track. Now, we did want this to be a little bit lower, so we do end up lowering some of the bushes and fences there, just so people that are not on the ride can also see it a little bit better. But yeah, finishing up, just paying attention to some details there, and then we start adding in some different types of cars. We get a lowrider, of course we duplicate the other older style vehicle there, so we get those in there, and like I said, we lower those, and then we focus on, okay, well, we're gonna need to do something else. I didn't realize I selected so much blue, but it's too late, so that's what it is. It stays with the blue, and then we come back over. We knew we were gonna need to try and do some of the planters here, which we can make those be a little bit cleaner than everything else. So, of course, we add in some rocks to kind of fill in some of that area. Of course, the area that's going to be really tight there, we wanted to get some rocks in so we didn't have to worry about trees and whatnot. But we get these rocks in, and then just a couple scattered here and there to kind of fill in the rest of the area. I really like the idea of having those little rocks above the top there. They kind of bring the area together a little bit more. And then on the other side here, we definitely needed to just have some rocks here and there. We're going to get some thick brush in a little bit on that side. So this area is much different than the airport side, where everything was, you know, like well maintained and specific planters. Now obviously there's some planters here, but it's more of a wooded area because that's what it's leading into. So I'm using this as more of like a transition where you still have the planters because it's still going to be some type of thought up brush and foliage, but it's not fully maintained the same way. So it's not going to be as neat as the airport area. So and then of course as we get closer to the front where the station is, that's going to get tidied up even more and just have a little bit different feel to it than this back corner here. So you can see we're just kind of making some last little changes here to the fencing there. You can see we're putting actual fencing since we sunk that down a little bit. And yeah, I think it looks pretty nice now. We do focus on putting more fencing on the outside here. Now this is going to have a little custom curb that we use as well. And it's when I say custom curb, it is literally just the wooden, the standard wooden beams that are painted gray that look nice. And you can see we have one in there that's for this fencing. So we use the same on the other side as well. I just wanted a different type of fence as we go around there. So yeah, so there's the curb. The curb doesn't necessarily go with the fencing. It will just go along it on the outside here and cover up the edge of the pathway, which I think it does a good job and it looks pretty good. So especially once we start adding benches and whatnot, which I don't remember if I do that or not. So that might be something we need to go back and fix in the next episode. But you can see we're going back and working on our path covers now, which are the same thing as track covers. So call them what you want there. But we go ahead, we finish that up. We're not going to go over the crazy stone path. We're going to leave that be very visible. And you know, we get the fences in here. I think this turns out really nice when we get everything all said and done. It's a lot of gray, but again, this area we use for some foliage. We use flowers, much more deliberate flower placement than just throwing down some thick brush and whatnot. So you can see we even use the fancier grass in this area. We do still have some thick brush, some bushes and whatnot, but generally speaking, this is not that type of area. So there are some taller trees. The reason we had the big where I swung the camera around, I am focused on what our sight lines are from different angles in the park. So there are some areas that I wasn't concerned about having a sight line, and then there are some areas where I really wanted it. So you can see we got the flowers coming in here. We do get some bushes and some rocks still around, but it is not fully there. We get some trees and whatnot in there as well. And yeah, it starts to come together a little bit. Now, the station of this ride, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was thinking for a while I was going to leave it as an open station, just do something small. But then I eventually changed it to be some type of faux gas station. So, of course, we finish up our hedge work here. We do use the hedge work on both sides in some areas for the car ride, but we get those to come back in here and just to kind of keep that separate. But eventually, I think we do start to work on the. Oh no, we're gonna do some more planter work here quick. And you know, this I don't think even. Actually, this might stay. So we cover up some of those areas there, and then here we go. We knew we were gonna have to do some more of the fancy fences to go up and over. So we go ahead, we focus on the bottom first. We get those sorted out. I really didn't like the way that one looked, but you know, we had to do what we had to do. You can see we're still going with the idea that we're going to keep everything open on the bottom there. So that is certainly something that we were really considering there, because I didn't want to do another building, but it just didn't look right. So it got the better of me, and we eventually do jump into a building. But go ahead, we'll finish off the fencing here. And obviously this is well into the time lapse, so this was a long time after I did the first one. So I was fortunately still remembered the route that I was choosing to do to get that. To get everything sorted out, but it does tend to work out pretty well here, and it just took a little bit longer because I was a little bit slower doing it this last time around here. So there we go, we got everything up, and now it's just the fence post, and then we have to do the other side as well, because I don't think we just leave that open. And it's definitely not flat enough for the other type of fence. So yeah, so here we go. This turn we could not get it without having some type of grass showing on the inside, so we just deal with it. It's not that big of a concern, but because this is a much smaller area, this fence took much less time, which was nice. I probably should have brought the thicker post down to the corner. It might have covered up more of that grass. It might not have eliminated it completely, but might have helped with that. But I wasn't that concerned about it. We're not going to be looking at that area very much. So, you know, we do add in some rocks in that area as well. And then I think the dirt really kind of blends it in, and then the thick brush as the path starts to go up over everything. So again, more deliberate flower placement. Those flowers don't actually stay there. Some more trees in the area to kind of provide a little bit more shade for people walking through there, and of course some rocks and some brush on the other side for that area. So yeah, I think it turns out pretty good there. And then I think we're gonna, I don't remember, no, we're gonna finish up this little area here as well. And again, this is really where we start to get loose with the flower placement. I think we add a couple in here and there, but not nearly as much. You can see I was going to try and do something different there, but I don't think I end up keeping it. Oh, maybe I do keep it. I might keep that. Get some rose bushes in there. I'm just trying to place a whole bunch of different things in all over the place. just to kind of keep it all separate and whatnot. So I'm surprised I put those flowers in there, but you know, we get those in there, we get the trees in, everything starts to mesh together a little bit better, and now you can see we are going to build our building. And you know, I decided to put this building in because I knew we could put in a shop that would be much more, that would be successful, essentially. We found a way by putting shops at the exit of our attractions that they tend to make the most sales. So that's the same idea here. And you know, the building that we're doing, being that it is a faux gas station, would have some type of shop in here. Now, we did use another Looney Balloons, and that's because the Hats Fantastics and the Just a Mementos are extremely expensive to operate. So that's why we have those. In that we didn't use those. At some point, we're going to have to, because we want people, once they buy one balloon, they're not going to buy another. So we're going to need to get some variation here at some point, but it just wasn't time yet. I don't think a lot of people have bought balloons, and if they did, there's not as many of them walking around with them out. So you know, we'll keep an eye on if we need to make that change or whatnot, but you know, balloons are something that wouldn't take up a lot of space either. So we go ahead. Now this building, again, it's going to have the same complexion as the repair shop that we had just built. So it's going to have that white wood with some of the real wood texture. And again, I was contemplating, do I do a pitched roof, do I do a flat roof, or a combination of both? And I went with a combination of both. And that, it just adds a little bit of dimension to it. I found a good way, or a way that I liked, to get that pitch roof in. So you can see we've just got that going in there. And I was really trying to find some way to make this look different, but you know, everything that I was trying just looked a little bit too busy, and for a building that's not going to be a main focal point or anything like that. So we get in the wooden tile roofs. We just add some little wooden detail pieces around the sides to cover up anything that you wouldn't necessarily see. We get the top portion on there, and you know, just add in some little pieces from there. We did have to separate the building out. You can see we got some pieces clipping through on the side, so we have to separate those and move them in. We had that on both sides, so we eventually will do that. But the last part that I was really struggling with was, what do we do with this part over the Looney Balloons? And it ended up just being a flat roof. We weren't finding anything that was going to work. I didn't want to make a custom roof. Again, this is a building that's not going to be a centerpiece. You're not made to be wowing people. Just something that, you know, would have to be in the park as part of the attraction. So I do put a lot of effort into trying to find something different, though. It just didn't work. So we shrink it down even more, just to kind of make it not stick out as much. And then, of course, we add it in our wooden accent pieces. And then this is going to be like a little garage door that would obviously never be used. It would just be a faux garage door there. And then there we go. We move the pieces so they don't stick through anymore. We add in some marketing signs for the Looney Balloons that's going to be placed in here. We finish up with some path covers that leads into the dirt path that goes up and back over to the main garage, and then we add in some fences. So you would have a way to walk if you were a staff member around there, but we wanted to hide the door as much as possible. So we get those in there. We also do add some trash cans in there, and then a little balcony cover, which I thought looked pretty decent for just being a generic one. So I thought it fit in there pretty nicely. So these last little pieces here, nothing too outrageous. You can see we're trying to dress this up just a little bit, and I think we did a pretty good job. Now we did want to have a little overhang, so there was some protection for the guests if there was some type of rain or something like that. So we get those in here. We do have to, or we didn't have to, but we add in some little decorative pieces just to kind of make it, to fill it out a little bit more. And, you know, I think it turns out a lot nicer than what I thought it was going to be. We were definitely trying a bunch of different pieces, and you know, we found some that were working for us. So yeah, we definitely needed the wooden pieces there to just make that a little bit cleaner for us. And then of course adding in our in-game fence to kind of block off that last little section there. So now adding windows in to break up the monotony on the side, which is nice. And then you know, windows are just a good thing to add in, because it just makes the building a little bit more interesting. Not too much, but you know, you use them too much, like kind of are right now, and it goes a little overboard. But you know, I think for what we have on there, I think it's fine. We do add a little Street Fox coffee symbol, because I feel like you would see that in there, and you would see coffee in a gas station. So and it just kind of breaks everything up and adds a little bit of color that's needed for that building. So you can see we've got that going on now. Now we just need to add in another faux gate over here, which is how they would get the vehicles into that area. And then we add in some cars. I didn't realize that there was a cover to the lowrider, so we get those. We start adding one of those in once I find that here, and it should be soon. Once we add in the really not so old cars, the really generic cars, we add the racing stripes in on that one, which I think we end up moving that as well. So we were going to use that car as our logo, which you'll see in a little bit here, but it ended up being a little bit too large. So you can see we're trying to move it around. I don't like the yellow, but you know, we needed something other than blue because I use blue so much. So we finally get our cars in the spots that we want, and then from here, I don't remember what we're looking for at this point. Oh, the tires. I could not find them because they're spelled T-Y-R-E-S, and that really threw me off. But I found a whole bunch of other pieces that I thought would be good to put in here. Obviously, we got a U-turn sign. We got the arrows that you would see on the side of roads. So we go ahead and get those in there. We obviously get another U-turn sign in there, and the exclamation point to tell people you need to slow down because you're coming back into the station. So we get those in there. I think we then start jumping into the lights here. Yep, there we go. And the lights, nothing spectacular. We don't do anything crazy. We do add in some street lights for certain areas of the ride and the queue, which add a little bit harsher white light around the area. So there's that. We also add in some of these floodlights, which I think we end up changing the color on, just to be a little bit softer. Maybe not. We definitely add in quite a lot. Ceiling can lights get put in on the back end, and yeah, so there we go. We dropped, if we could change the color, we dropped it, made it a yellow or softer light. Now we're adding in some ceiling, I can't remember what kind of lights they are, but we add in some of those lights. We add some area lights underneath to make them illuminate a little bit better, and then we add some lights to the trees just to make the area pop a little bit more at night. And this is something that I've recently, I've done it in the last couple videos in this series, but I've been liking that more and more. Oh, of course I have to put lights in the tunnel, and because this is the tunnel, these can lights are going to be very direct and just very circular. So once we finish that up, we head over to the bridge here, and we focus on our wooden covered bridge for the ride. So this doesn't take nearly as long as I thought it was going to. There are some things that I think we might change here in the future, but generally speaking, I'm pretty happy with the way this turns out. So you can see that we do have some wooden parts that it's going to be a wooden bridge, so there's going to be a lot of real wood. This is going to be another transitional piece as you go across the creek. We still need the concrete footers. That's going to be consistent all the way across there. And I definitely wanted an arch to get across this, so we focus on that as well. And you know, I think it turns out pretty nice. So you can see I'm trying a bunch of different colors. I can't quite remember which one I settle on. I want to say it is a darker wood, because I just like the darker wood color better. And I did want to have a little bit of red mixed in there as well. And you can see we're focused on just getting the everything just looking just perfect there. So we get the wooden beams in here. We were having some issues with some Z fighting underneath. Regardless of what I moved, seems like I was moving the wrong one, so I eventually just said, you know, we're going to make sure that it's different. So we eventually fixed that in the end, but you can see now we are starting on our arches for the underneath part of the bridge, and you know, I think these just turned out about as perfect as they could have turned out. So we get those in here, we duplicate it over, and we do swing the camera a lot in here, so if you're sensitive to that, you might want to be aware. And we are going to be swinging the camera a little bit as we build this one around. So we go ahead, we throw in a wooden middle beam there, and then we just add some very, very simple pieces here to kind of tie everything together. And then we duplicate one to the middle just for some added support, which I think works out good. And then we add some cross beams in here as well to the underside. So this is going to stay open. It's not going to be anything spectacular, but I do like the idea of the arches for the bridge. And you know, we put a bunch of arches in this bridge. So you can see we've got we duplicate these and say, you know what, we're going to put these in the top portion of the bridge as well. Not as thrilled about the way this looks. So this may actually change in the next episode. I may change that to a more traditional style of bridge in that area. But for the most part, you know, it still looks pretty decent. We leave it that way for this episode. So let me know in the comment section what you think of that, and if I need to change it. I'm sure next episode is probably going to be a pretty large one as well. Even though I am going to try and reduce the time. I don't want to continue to do the lengthy videos that I have been. So, you know, but let me know in the comments, and you know, we can switch it around if necessary here in future episodes. So we are adding in a roof piece to the bottom that's custom, just to add some difference, some type of different texture in there, and I think that is looking pretty good. Now we do add a little arch piece here, which I think looks great. I'm pretty pleased with that. So you know, I am probably going to keep that around because it works. We do duplicate those throughout the bridge as well, which I think looks nice as an additional feature. And then we eventually here go and duplicate everything. So you can see we are duplicating a bunch of stuff here. We're preparing to have things moved. And yeah, there we go. We didn't quite get it. There we go. Now we've got it all set up. We did have to tidy up a few things that weren't quite aligned perfectly, but that didn't take very long at all. And you can see we wanted to make sure that things look the same on the side, so we go ahead and select those little red wooden pieces, get those in. We pull the terrain back a little bit. This was a lot more challenging than I thought, getting the terrain up to the wooden pieces without going over and covering up that middle metal beam. So that just ended up being maybe one of the more difficult things for this build, but we eventually get it, or something that would that I would like. We were okay with it going over the wood. We just didn't want it to go. We wanted to show underneath, and we didn't want it to exceed the metal beam on the top. So you can see we just extended the wooden beam out a little bit. You can see it. We added a little bit there, but generally speaking, it looks like we're pretty good here. And then just adding in some fencing here at the end on the side, where we can just kind of get everything to mesh back together. So, and of course we have to put a little extra fence in there to cover that area, and then some rocks and whatnot to get that going. This last little area, I do think we use this taller tree. Maybe not. I can't quite remember. We don't focus on the other bridge. Yeah, we do add some taller trees there. We add some taller trees there. We didn't focus too much on the other bridge there because that's going to come up in a future episode and not for us right now. And you know, the reasoning behind me not doing the other part that you're looking at there, that is the dirt area. That's because you know, we're going to be building quite a bit here in the next couple episodes in that area, and I figured, why do it twice or even 3 times? So we said, you know what, let's just leave it. It's not going to be impacted much. The track's not going to be impacted much. So we'll just go ahead, we'll get everything set, and I'm pretty happy with the way the layout is over there. So we will just not move the track at all, so we can keep the ride open and functioning while we build in the future. Now, you can see we are working on the logo or the sign here for this attraction. And you can see I'm trying to put in the car here, and we are going to call it Rally Racers, which I'm sure you saw in the thumbnail. And this just doesn't work. It's just too big. I like the idea of it, just wasn't going to come together. We try a lot, though. We really tried a lot to get that to look in there. We were also looking at the name of Motorway or something along those lines, but that wasn't going to work. So now we go ahead and we open up that area again, which gives us just enough space to put in a little construction sign that, you know, I would imagine that you would see stuff like that because when there are like races in cities, different roads get shut down. So I imagine they would use those signs to show that, you know, this is closed or something along those lines. So we do a little trailer here for the construction sign. And I think it turns out really nice. I'm actually a lot happier with this than I thought I was going to be. So you can see we throw in the art shapes here with the black. I would have loved to put the string lights in to make the font, but the string lights were just too big. So we end up just using some TMTK fonts. That is way too big of a font, but this will look good here. And you know, we even make it a little bit larger so we can still put some lights around the outside and just give it a little bit more of that feel, that this would not be a permanent sign. We get a little shadow play on the text, and you know, I'm really happy with the way it's turned out. So so believe it or not, we are coming up on the end of this time lapse. If you're still here, thanks for watching, because this was way too long of a time lapse, and I am aware of that, and I'm going to try and minimize the length of the time lapse here in the future. But I will let you finish out the rest of this as we finish up this little area here with just some foliage and whatnot. And I will see you in the live portion. Welcome to the live portion of today's video, and you can see we did quite a bit of work. And you know, we do have this ride. We are going to open it. You can see we did not focus on the other side of the bridge because I wanted to save that for the next episode, so not doing double the work over there, because that is where we're going to build in the next episode. But yeah, we have the Rally Racers here, and I am pretty pleased with the way this turned out. I was really struggling with a name and what to do with the sign, so I came up with this thing. I was really hoping I could just use the like string lights here and make a little font out of those to kind of make it like one of these construction signs, but it didn't work out, so we just had to use some TMTK font that I have here, and I like the way it turned out. It looks really good. You can see the queue is not very long, I did not want a bunch of guests getting stuck in this queue. We do have the priority pass in here. And then obviously you needed, for a car ride, you needed like a little work area here where you could park cars, but I thought it looked pretty bare. You'd probably see some of the car type ride vehicles in here. That'd be extras in case one broke, but obviously we don't have that issue in the game, so we just filled it in with some regular cars, and obviously they would take it into the repair shop for the repairs, and it does have an exit on the other side, so they can drive it in and then just drive it out back onto the track and continue about their business. So yeah, woo, zooming around. Sorry about that. And you know, the station here, I kind of wanted it to be like a little gas station. So it does have a shop in the background over here. It's another Looney Balloons, which I'm on the fence if I want to keep that or not. We also added the Street Fox Coffee signage, and that's just because it just seemed to fit best with the gas station vibe. You would sell coffee in a gas station, so yeah, so I just kind of like it, so we'll have to connect those up and into everything. So I'm not sure what those pieces are. What do we have? Oh, those are our lights. So we'll just have to sink those down a little bit. Yeah, of course we have the blue cars on the track. I significantly reduced the number of cars on here because I found out that it costs a whole lot more to run more cars. So there is that. And, you know, I do expect this to be a pretty busy ride, but it's not going to be that busy. Let's get out of the building here. And we did name it Rally Racer, so we'll go ahead and put that in here. We'll get it testing as well, but I did use the Luna Autos rather than the Makima Classic or Machima, however you want to pronounce it. But I did want those types of vehicles in here, but I wanted the metal beam, guide beam in there, so that's why we have that. And then the whole track is covered anyway, so you don't see those ugly worn out paths from the tires. Yeah, it is a pretty lengthy circuit in my opinion, but you can see it comes right out of the gate here, right over past the repairs and whatnot. Does this U-turn, goes down a little bit, and then comes all the way under to what we worked on first in this video, and it is this fancy walkway bridge. And this is kind of like a portal. Once we get over here, this is going to be more of like a wooded area, so that's kind of why we see the change in the pathing and stuff like that. So we got that going on. It goes all the way around, and then of course it goes underneath the pathway for the solar eclipse, which you saw in the last video. Wraps all the way back around and comes back under this bridge up over to our second bridge here that we worked on, and this is just a wooden covered bridge, and I'm liking the way this turned out. I really want to do a bunch of arches in this episode, so that's kind of why you see all of that. I'm not sold on the way the arch in the upper portion here looks. It kind of looks a little weird, but overall I think it is fine for what we are doing. And then, like I said, this is going to be built in the upcoming episode, so I didn't want to go ahead and theme this out and then have to just destroy a bunch of it, so we didn't do any of that. We'll probably do that either in the next episode or something like that. But once it comes back through here, we got this cool tunnel, and I am really pleased with the way this tunnel came out. It's just looks good. I think it looks good on both ends. It comes back around this corner, past some more fancy cars, and back into our station. So yeah, a lot of work being done. Our exit had to be worked around quite a bit, so we did this little pathway that kind of goes up and over where we have this tunnel, which I thought kind of blended things together. A little seating area up here, Not intended to be any type of view. As you can see, it's just trees, which is fine. I didn't want it to be anything there. This will be a view point, so you'll be able to see. You got the bridge on the side. Obviously, you have this building on the side here too, but there's not much that you can do to hide that. And then what we put over here in the next episode will also be pretty low, so you can continue to see through to that hyper jump in the background. You come back down here, and we don't have too much going on here. Again, because we weren't going to be theming much of this, I didn't want to do a third bridge in this episode, because bridges do take a long time, especially that first one that I built. That took a really long time. And then, just fleshing out the area here. We forgot to put benches on this side, which maybe we won't have. We do have some lighting, so let's go ahead and switch over to that. But yeah, lighting, nothing too crazy here. Just your standard lighting. I didn't want to go overboard. I do really like the way the sign turned out. I think that lights up really cool. Looks really good here. And then, yeah, I know I forgot in the last episode to show the lighting on solar eclipse. So, whoa, into a tree. You can see we did leave the flooring here, so we get that cool outline of the sun, which I think is good. Obviously, the solar eclipse sign, which I'm really pleased with as well. And yeah, you can see it looks like we have a significant... we could put on a lot more cars here, but I promise you we cannot. It just takes too long for people to get on and off these cars. So when they start actually going, there's not going to be any benefit to having more cars because they'll just stack up here in the back. So that is what we got so far. Now you probably did notice we did make a pretty significant jump near the end of the video to the amount of money that we had. And wow, you can see we are doing quite well with our rides and ticket sales at the moment. But that is because I was running out of money and I had to run it a little bit to build some money back up. So I accidentally forgot and left it running a little bit longer than I should have, so that's why we're at 11,000. I did not want to go that high, but nonetheless, it should be fine. There's not going to be too much of an issue here, and I'm really interested to see how the car ride here, our rally racers, if I can get it to select, impacts things. So let's go ahead, let's get back into daytime, and we will jump into our management features, so we can see exactly where you're at. And yeah, you can see I was in the finances there. So all right, yeah, so our overview guest summary, we are looking really good. 100% happiness, so that's awesome. Staff happiness 99%, that's really good. Most profitable ride is the baggage carousel, which is funny. Propeller Smoothies is also our most profitable shop. And we'll check this out again here. Actually, let's just get up. Oh, holy moly. There we go. All right, let's give this a pause now that we are in August 1st of year 145. So yeah, so this changed. So Empyrean now is our most profitable ride coaster, which is great. Steel Eagle gift shop up there, so that indicates that Steel Eagle probably broke down at some point during this, so that's going to happen. And you can see something just broke down now because we're already down $4,000 since we started. So most popular attraction is the parking tram, which is a little bit of garbage, but we have to do with what the game has for us. Crafts we're not too concerned about. Tickets, that's going to be something that we're probably going to start playing with here in a little bit. Our park rating and whatnot, all of this stuff is really good. Now our finances, we will jump into the rides and tickets. So ride ticket sales at 10,800 for the year of the month of July. Coasters did a good chunk of what they needed to, almost $6,000. Usually that I think is supposed to be the most, but I mean look at this month, 13,000 on rides, but then the low amount on the coaster ticket sales. So that's telling me, we got our ride split in a good area, because when one goes south, the other picks up on the other side, and you can see the averages. We usually do a little bit more in terms of coaster sales than what we had over these 2 months, but and we probably do a little less in rides, but they're balancing each other out, so that's really nice. Our small attraction sales, those are insignificant. Ride running costs, all that good stuff. We are making a little bit of money on priority pass sales, except for June. I don't know why that's so low, but that is what it is. We aren't selling park entrance tickets yet. Our shops and facilities, $10,000 in shops and facility running costs. So that is a pretty significant number right there. We got hotel room sales. We are making money with our hotel, which is great. We are not operating the restaurant currently, which that will change here coming up in the future. Park management, we know staff wages are the bulk of what we have going on there. Scenery and running costs also contributes quite a bit, but we're trying to be a nice little park for people. Loans, we don't have any of that. Graphs, I'm not too concerned about. Research, marketing, blah, blah, blah. Staff, here we go. So staff, if you do want to work in the park, please let me know in the comment section. I will get you hired into the park at whichever position you would like. And you can pick one color, and I will try and get you in the next episodes as we go along. And you can see we do have quite a few people, which will hit as we go down. So right away in the entertainers, we got 4 people. We got Daniel, K-Dancer, Alfian, and Clano, and they're all doing just good work for us. He is Dex R, and he's in a lower area, like he's in the newer area, so see he's right over here. He doesn't have a lot of guests, so hopefully Rally Racers will kind of bring people into him. In our janitor section here, nothing too crazy. Everyone's pretty happy. I haven't been getting any complaints about the park being disgusting, so that is pretty good. Our vendors, we are going to have to take a look at vendors. I'm not going to open the Looney Balloons on the back of maybe I should. It might actually do us some good. It is a bit of a walk for the staff to get there. The closest staff building, I think, is in Staristas over here. So they'd have to come all the way up around. So we'd probably have to hire 2 new vendors for that. So we probably should. All right, let's do it. We'll see what happens. It's going to lose us money here early on, but that is fine. There's 1, there's 2. Probably should have put them closer to where we need them to go, but it is what it is. So it's too late now. We're not going to go ahead and pick them up. Let's go ahead and let's get train level. We need them. Let's see. Is it Jeffrey Moody is one of them. Daryl Esposito is the other. Arthur Healy. We need to get the colors. So let's go ahead and just do this quick. There we go. And we'll go ahead and we'll switch them to Park Center. We will have to update our work roster here in a second. Our mechanics, they are busy, but I don't think they've had too much of an issue. They have been fixing a lot of things. I don't think it's needed to get another one. at this point. We do have M&J Games, Jiu-Jitsu J, Twist, Nocturo, and TRM Memories, which we need to train him up here, so that should be fine. Now our work rosters, like I said, we need to go ahead and increase that. Let's actually, can we just select all of that for now? We don't want that. There we go. So that gives us an extra shop here in the park center, so that should be good. Our guests, let's see, happiness, like I said, 173% for energy. Now that we're past the financials tab, we can go ahead and start playing this again, start letting things flesh out a little bit. People are hungry, thirsty, need to go to the bathroom. Those are nothing new for us. Family groups, definitely the ones that are making the most, or spending the most for us and spending the most amount of time in the park. So there is that. Baggage carousel queue is full. Thirsty and priority passes are for suckers, which I don't disagree. So at least at this point. So there we go. We got all of that. Now let's get into our rides, and we will see what we have. Now, the first thing we want to do is we want to get Rally Racers open. So the max that we can charge for a track ride here is $15. So that's what we're going to charge. $15. Even the Prestige is gonna warrant way more than that. But I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. We are going to open the other end of the Sky Ride. And because this is so far off, I am going to go ahead and just move this up another $1 and try to balance this out. Because this, you shouldn't be losing this much money on Sky Ride, I wouldn't think. So the Sky Ride we'll see if we can try and balance that out. If it gets too crazy where we start making a bunch of money, we will back that back down. But yeah, let's go take a look here. Let's go through the rides. Empyrean, $2,000 last month. That is spectacular. One thing we want to take a look at, our recent downtime. That's pretty significant. We're going to go ahead and request a refurbishment here on the Empyrean, which is going to probably cost us a bunch of money at the beginning here. Baggage carousel, that's fine. That's making us 2,000 money. Crankshaft, this is another one. Recent downtime, wear and tear. That's really, I mean, that's bad. So we'll just request an inspection, see if we can get that back up. But the 7%, I'm pretty pleased with that. 11% on Steel Eagle. We will go ahead and request that one. Scissors, 781. Carousel, 515. Balloon Flight, 427. Air Traffic Control, 335. Stunt Pilot, 330. Whirly Rig's not opened. Hyperjump's not open. Rally Racers just opened. And you know, we do need to make some modifications here. We do want 12 miles per hour there. Our minimum wait time, we will leave that at, let's do 15 and 20. Don't block station, and that should be fine. I don't see why that would be any issue whatsoever. It's lost us $7,000, but that's because it hasn't been open. Parking tram, about $100 we're losing per station. So that is fine. I'm not too concerned about any of that. I honestly don't care if that breaks down at all. So Hercules, that lost us some money. Let's take a look here at this. that's really good. So, you know, that must have just been a bad month. Solar eclipse. We're gonna cheat to get this to. We're gonna. Oh, can we not rebrand this? There it is. Rebrand. We will do solar eclipse. Oh gosh. There we go. So that gets us back to established here. Which, like I said, I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to let it run as long as it did. So I think that's a fair argument, just to kind of get that back to where we should have been. The Sky Ride, we already made those changes. Aerial attack lost us some money, but that has overall been pretty profitable for us. So the message just broke down right before it went, and it broke that, or it the month changed over. So that's fine. I'm not too concerned about that. Now, our shops and whatnot, these are pretty interesting. Steel Eagle gift shop, propeller smoothies, those are right on par with what they need to be. Barrel rolls, still doing pretty good itself. I did check in the middle. We were getting some missed customers. Yeah, we're missing some sales here. So let's just go ahead. We're just going to drop everything by 10 cents and see what happens with that. Wow, look at that. That made money for us. That's weird. Bear Paw Eats, I think we are good on that front. I don't think we're missing sales there. No, that's good. Wing It Tiki Cheeky, that is good as well. Baggage balloons, vending machines obviously are there. Gulpy Slush, that is not open. So we're not going to open that. This Hat's Fantastic is not going to be open. Let's just get to our negatives here. Cosmic Cow Milkshakes. Oh yeah. So he's missing sales. So we'll swap. We'll drop down 10 cents there. Barrel rolls. I'm pretty sure we're missing. We aren't missing much here, but you know, we want to try and capture all the sales. 10 cents isn't going to kill us. Guest services, we know that's going to lose money. Modular Frites. We losing anything there? No, that's probably just a bad month there. Cosmic Cow Ice Cream, I think that is fine. You know, that's not too bad for where it's at. Same with the Gulpy Soda over here. Street Fox Coffee. That, I think we are good. I think those are gonna, the Starista venues, I think they are gonna start to get a little bit better. Since we have rally racers. Wow, we really rolled away from the park there. Since we have rally racers opening up, all of this is just stuff that's losing us money. Nothing really to manage in there. Our crane games, nothing crazy there. Our hotel, we're making money. I genuinely don't think there's anything else that we need to do for this hotel. I think this is exactly where we need it to be. People are saying that it's too expensive, but the standard rooms are so cheap, but the luxury rooms are too expensive. Yeah, I know if I go up $1 or down $1, that's gonna it's gonna flip or something. So I'm not gonna change that. Seer Squad's not gonna be opened this episode. And yeah, I think we are doing all right here. The park is profitable, which is pretty awesome. So I'm pretty pleased with the way all of this is turning out. And you know, I'm really excited to get into the upcoming episodes because we got some big plans ahead here. So I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you leave a like. If you saw something I could have done better, let me know in the comment section. And if you want to see some more awesome Planet Coaster content, please subscribe to the channel. So again, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Later!
largo owocowe. Office sector.